Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Victoria ISD employee is arrested at Cade Middle School.
The Seadrift City Council makes a decision on the May 3rd special election there.
And the Corpus Christi Fire Department is stretched thin during wildfires.
We are looking for some hot weather coming up ahead. We should be looking at almost, in the low 90s for us for sure. Many areas of Texas are under a red flag warning for fire danger. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And tonight we had a lot of baseball and softball action here in the Crossroads. Find out some final scores and some highlights coming up. Sport.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker.
New tonight at 10, a man wanted for a deadly hit and run in Arlington, Texas is in the Victoria County Jail. Victoria police arrested 25-year-old Joel Tambriz on Monday. The crash happened late last June in Arlington when a black Honda Civic hit 30-year-old Daniel Crucis in a crosswalk and took off. Officers later found the car ditched nearby. Digital evidence, documents, and a phone linked the car to Tambriz. He is in the Victoria County Jail on charges of collision involving death, resisting arrest, evading arrest, and a Homeland Security detainer. He will be extradited to Tarrant County to face the charge related to last year's hit and run. A Victoria Independent School District maintenance employee is in jail on multiple child sexual abuse charges. School resource officers arrested 53-year-old Carlos Caceres on the Cade Middle School campus around 2 o'clock this afternoon for 3 outstanding felony warrants. Public records show Caceres has worked for the district since 2022. Caceres faces a felony sexual assault of a child charge and 2 felony charges of indecency with a child. A Victoria ISD statement says the district conducts background checks on all employees, and you can read their full statement at crossroadstoday.com.
Firefighters spent nearly 8 hours battling brush fires that burned almost 1,000 acres in Calhoun County. More than 50 firefighters from multiple agencies, including Port O'Connor, Seadrift, and Port Lavaca fire departments, responded. They had backup from 2 dozers, 5 airplanes, a helicopter, and 11 fire trucks. Local ranchers and landowners also pitched in, bringing drinks and food to keep crews going. The Bayside fire is fully contained at 20 acres, while the Oceanfront fire has burned over 500 acres and is 95% contained. No major injuries were reported. Goliad County Judge Mike Bennett ordered a 90-day outdoor burn ban for that county. Violation of the burn ban is a Class C misdemeanor. It could result in a fine up to $500.
When multiple fires broke out across Corpus Christi last week, the fire department was stretched thinner than ever. And at one point, not a single fire engine was available.
There's a first for that department, and now officials are looking at what they can do better in Corpus Christi next time.
At the peak of last week's fires, Corpus Christi had 12 to 13 fires burning simultaneously, leaving the department without any available engines. Assistant Fire Chief Billy Bellew says it was a first for him.
At one point in town, we had no available engines, which I've been in the fire department 20 years. And this is the first time in my career that I've actually seen that happen.
Fires including the one at Oso Disc Golf Course on the south side and a grass fire at Crosstown and Galahar stretched the department to its limits. To keep up, the fire department had to call back additional personnel and put out-of-service engines back into action. Bellew described the experience as a valuable learning opportunity, one that will help improve their response to future fires.
And right now we're working on after actions to be able to bridge the gap between what we felt like we didn't do well and what we can basically improve on the next situation that we have.
While Corpus Christi has a dedicated fire department, Sinton does not. Even so, both departments struggled with manpower and resources during the crisis.
I know we spent about $2.1 million on 2 new 500-gallon fire trucks. I know they're going to be replacing 2 aging units, and maybe, with this wildfires going on and everything, maybe we could keep those 2 aging units for backups.
The Corpus Christi Fire Department already has brush trucks deployed in high-risk areas, including the extreme south side, Flower Bluff, and the island. Locations where dense brush borders residential areas, making them vulnerable to outbreaks similar to the fires in Sinton.
This brings us to our viewer poll tonight. The question is, what worries you most about wildfires? Is it property damage, air quality, emergency response time, or risk to firefighters? Overwhelmingly, just like it was at 6, property damage is number 1, with 76% among our voters worries most about wildfires. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and thank you for voting. The city of Seadrift officially knows who its next mayor is. Lori Thomas is running unopposed for the position. So tonight, City Council in Seadrift canceled the May special election. Elmer DeForest started on the ballot but removed his name in recent weeks. The city will still have a regular May election for 3 city council positions. The city also confirmed Cheyenne Beaver as police chief with an official swearing-in ceremony.
Yoakum is putting the brakes on new manufactured homes again. At tonight's meeting, the City Council voted to extend the moratorium, aiming to protect the character of its historic areas. City Clerk Teresa Bowe says council members want to maintain the city's charm and keep manufactured homes out of town for now.
I think to preserve our history is vital to our community. We want our children to know where they came from and how our city was built, and preserve its beauty as well.
Bowe says the moratorium is not permanent and it gives residents access to affordable and reasonable housing. Well, tonight, time to check in on our weather. It's kind of nice that the sun's going down a little bit later, but it gets chilly pretty fast.
Yes, indeed. And one question I had for you, Mac, what are the chances of maybe having some fog overnight?
Well, that's getting higher and higher because we're getting back the Gulf air. In fact, the Gulf air is bringing back the humidity. You'll probably feel fog a little, maybe 2-3 hours tomorrow morning, and then it gets a little bit heavier as we get closer. But the big deal to me tomorrow is that we're going to be about 83, while areas inland are going to be in the 90s to 100. We're looking at the first 100s of the season for them and the first 90s of the season for us. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. A key Texas House committee unanimously approved the chamber's main property tax cut proposals. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. Agents at the southern border recently made a massive meth seizure, more than a ton of it, worth more than $20 million. The methamphetamine was in liquid form and more than 1,600 water bottles. They were a tractor trailer that was transporting mineral water along with chili peppers, potatoes, and onions. The seizure was a joint effort between Customs and Border Protection and several Mexican agencies. Authorities arrested one man. It happened at the Roma International Bridge in South Texas.
A ceremony marks the closure of Camp Firefly in Eagle Pass, Texas. The migrant processing facility first opened in July 2022. It was set up to quickly process migrants in Border Patrol custody, providing food and shelter along the way. But with illegal border crossings declining in recent months, the Trump administration says it's no longer needed. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. You can go back and watch all of our news on YouTube. Well, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, Trump tries to calm markets after recession fears spike, but experts say his trade policies may be to blame.
Also ahead, a ceasefire in the Ukraine-Russia war may finally be within reach. Ukraine agrees to a U.S. plan. The pressure is on Russia to respond.
Homeland Security is shelling out millions in taxpayer dollars on campaign-style ads about immigration. The ads feature Secretary Kristi Noem promoting the Trump administration's efforts to deport illegal immigrants. So far, DHS has spent nearly $4 million on the project. In total, the agency has awarded more than $200 million in contracts to 2 conservative firms to run the media campaign. The ads have been airing in major cities like Los Angeles, New York, Miami, and Chicago. The White House is downplaying economic fear and panic as a, quote, period of economic transition. This is significant stock market losses in recent days, Americans facing down a looming government shutdown, and major concerns from the business community over a trade war.
Now, economists predict that much of the plunge in consumer confidence is caused by the Trump administration's shifting tariff policies. The White House confirmed that 25% steel and aluminum tariffs are still on track for midnight, but it has backtracked or delayed other tariffs.
President Donald Trump trying to do damage control Tuesday, committing to buy a Tesla, whose stock has tanked recently, deflecting from Tuesday's market sell-off, and dismissing recession fears.
Do you think there will be a recession?
I don't see it at all.
This, a change in tune from Trump's comments over the weekend when he refused to rule out a recession in an interview with Fox News.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition.
Those words potentially spurring the worst day for Wall Street so far this year, Monday. In 3 weeks, the stock market has gone from all-time highs to a full-blown recession scare. The Trump administration placing the blame for the current economy on the former president.
Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster. Under Joe Biden, all net job growth went to foreign-born Americans. Real wages declined by 1.5% under Joe Biden. Prices soared more than 20% under Joe Biden.
The more likely culprit, economists say, a brewing trade war that began when Trump imposed tariffs on America's 3 biggest trading partners, China, Mexico, and Canada.
This is absolute chaos created by one person, and that's Donald Trump. Let's sit around the table and negotiate a new deal.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Now, you just heard from Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who previously said his province was putting in a 25% tariff on electricity exports to 3 U.S. states, namely Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. He also had threatened to cut off Ontario energy exports to the U.S. if Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods remained in place.
Today, he said he is temporarily suspending the electricity surcharge after meeting with the U.S. Commerce Secretary. But he said Canada will respond dollar for dollar to any new tariffs on aluminum and steel.
A whistleblower at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau testifies that plans to eliminate the agency are still in motion. That appears to counter the Justice Department, which says efforts to abolish the CFPB have been slowed down. The whistleblower was tasked with implementing the firings of hundreds of staffers. She said she attended meetings last week to discuss unwinding the agency. Her testimony shows she also received instructions to send out notices, despite a court order pausing mass terminations. A federal employee union and other groups challenged President Trump's efforts to abolish the Bureau. Major news tonight, Ukraine has now agreed to a U.S. plan for an immediate 30-day ceasefire with Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio leading negotiations. But, of course, the question tonight, will Vladimir Putin agree to this?
President Trump saying that he plans to talk to Putin, and the president says that he would invite President Zelensky back to the White House. ABC's chief international correspondent, James Longman, is in Ukraine.
Is this the first step towards peace in Ukraine? After 8 hours of talks, Ukraine has agreed to a U.S. proposal for an interim 30-day ceasefire.
We'll take this offer now to the Russians, and we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball's now in their court.
The talks in Saudi Arabia called for immediate negotiations to end this war, the first U.S.-Ukraine meeting since that Oval Office blow-up. Trump today hopeful.
Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal.
A proposed prisoner exchange, the return of forcibly displaced Ukrainian children, and a commitment to signing the minerals deal, all part of the discussion. The US also announcing they'll lift the pause on military aid and intelligence sharing. That may have already had an impact on the battlefield. Videos circulating online show Russian forces planting flags in areas Ukraine once controlled. But all this hinges on Russia's willingness to accept and reciprocate on the terms of the deal. And that is far from certain. Putin has consistently ruled out a ceasefire, the administration hoping to change his mind.
Before you can negotiate, you have to stop shooting at each other. That's the commitment we got today from the Ukrainian side, their willingness to do that. Obviously now that'll be delivered to the Russians.
Hours before today's meeting, Ukraine launched the biggest drone attack of this war so far, reaching all the way to Moscow, injuring at least 20 people. And tonight comes word that Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, is headed to Russia to try to get Putin to agree to the ceasefire.
And a big question here tonight, what does Vladimir Putin make of all this? Donald Trump says his relationship with Russia means that he's the man to get a deal done. Well, this will be a big test of that. And Volodymyr Zelensky, will he be back in the White House for a more cordial meeting? James Longman, ABC News in Kyiv, Ukraine.
Well, good evening, everyone. For us, we're down to 62 degrees right about now, but it shouldn't get much cooler than that. In fact, the dew point's at about 59, so in about 2 more degrees, we'll probably see enough saturation that we'll get a little fog out there for about 2-3 hours. Not huge and widespread, but that's later this week, actually. We managed to get up to 81 today after a morning low of 40. This tonight, we're going to be about 20 degrees milder. We'll talk about the heat and the red flag warnings coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everyone. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures now going to reflect all that because it's going to be getting warmer and warmer as we head on into the rest of this week. The high pressure that's over us that brought us this clear skies and dry air is moving that way east. That means that the Gulf air is going to kick back in, and we're starting to see that moisture return to the area. You're going to feel a little bit more humidity. Now, while we're here high and dry, we're looking at this going, oh my gosh, it's raining in California. Will this low cross the Rockies and affect us? Is a possibility, a very small possibility, but I'm going to be talking about it in a moment. Now, as you can see, from Bexar County, Travis County, all the way out to El Paso, they are under a red flag warning for high fire danger. So what do you need for that? Well, very low humidities, gusty winds, and of course the very high temperatures. They all have that. Now, we're not included just yet, but as you saw in the news a little earlier, we had 2 wildfires down in Calhoun County today. So that means that we're not that far away, and we should all be very cautious over the next few days, or certainly till everything starts greening up for the springtime, because a lot of dry grasses and bushes are not exactly warmed up now, rather greened up. Now, this is the burn bans per county. There you see Victoria. We don't have a burn ban right now, but everybody, Goliad on south and all the way down and all the way west are under that. But my point is, let's just all be careful with fire, because if it takes off and the winds pick up like I expect them to do, it's going to be hard to fight. So let's all be very cautious with all that as we get on to this week, because this is going to be changing because of the dryness in the atmosphere. Now, yesterday, we had 25% humidity over much of the crossroads. Today, all of that is increasing as the Gulf air starts blowing back in. As you can see, we're already in the 80 to 90%. So we'll be watching that, and that's why we're going to get a little bit of fog. Now, there's a lunar eclipse coming in on Friday. When does it begin? At 10:30 p.m. Thursday night. If you're going to be up at 2 in the morning, totality is right at 1:58 a.m. So maybe just watch it on the news, and then it's over by 5 in the morning. So probably you don't have anything to do the next day if you're going to be out watching that. So here's our south wind, as you can see right about there, and it's going to be, of course, hotter and drier over here because the air is coming off the Sonoran Desert. So that's hot, dry wind. And of course, this little front is moving in that direction. No major help. It's this one that we're watching and this one. These two are going to be a fairly large west coast storm. It is going to move toward us, and now we're going to see, will we get anything out of it? I'm going to show you in a second. 83 tomorrow, and then 91, and then 90, 86, and then a little bit cooler. So here are your nighttime temperatures getting down into the low 60s tonight, not nearly as chilly as it was this morning. And then tomorrow we'll get up into the 80s. Now, here is your Tuesday, and we go into Wednesday. And what was that? Tail end of a front. And then we go to Thursday and Friday, and that's when we have I'm talking a 12% chance that we may get something around here. So we'll just watch it carefully for you. Tomorrow's high in Port Lavaca, 80. Tomorrow's high in Cuero, about 85. And then for the rest of us, we're looking generally dry weather. We'll watch and wait to see what that little front does on Friday when it comes through. Before, it's going to be 90 degrees, and after, it's only going to be 85. So that is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. If you scan that with your phone, you can put Crossroads Today on your phone. And now Maxwell is going to be talking about a sport that I could not do anything with. Back to you.
Hey, it's a tough sport there, Mac, but guess what? Again, props up to people that do it, because we got some girls that are going to the state powerlifting meet for Industrial, Palacios, and Bloomington. We'll find out some of the names and how many people are going there coming up in sports. All right, Crossroads, like last night, we had a lot of top-level baseball and softball games here in the Crossroads. And first, we're going to start the Battle of Victoria. Victoria East battling Victoria West. This game was a defensive battle to start with. Again, pitchers on the mound there for East. Anya Franklin was dominant at the circle. West had Eliana Martinez. This changed, though, again, going into later in, I believe it was the 5th or 6th inning. East started to pour on the runs, and they won 6-0. East, they take game 1 of this series. They're going to travel to Calhoun this Friday, while East is traveling to face District foe Currie this Friday. Now down to Calhoun, where the Calhoun Sandcrabs lost a tough battle versus the Ingleside Mustangs in district play 10-0. Ingleside, they jumped up early, and with Beth Acavis single RBI and Leilana Smith getting on the board for Ingleside, they get the job done. And Calhoun, like I mentioned, will face Victoria West this Friday. Over there to top-ranked Hallettsville Lady Brahmas facing the Columbus Cardinals on the road tonight, and Lady Brahmas would get the job done, winning 3-0. Grace Alatza and Taylor Yeats helped the Brahmas win. Their next game is at home on Friday. They're versus Yoakum. Over there to Refugio, the Lady Cats faced Kennedy Lions in district play, and they won and got a lot of runs. 19-9 there over Kennedy. Jaslyn Lewis helped the way with a solo home run, and they're going to be off there the next couple weeks and be back in action there on the 25th. Over now to some baseball action, where we again have Victoria West. They faced Fort Bend Kemner at Riverside Stadium there. West got some early offense. They kept the foot on the gas early, and they won this game 11-2. They got big plays there from Dominic Martinez and Jay Guerrero. And now West, they're going to focus their attention back on the road against Fort Bend Kemner there this Friday. Over to some Victoria East. They played earlier versus Richmond Randall Riverside, and they took care of business, winning 12-2. And here's how they got some of the runs. A grand slam by Kason Coley and a 3-run inside the park home run by Christian Fier. So big, that's at least 7 of the 12 runs there the East got there in that one. East now next game is going to be on the road versus Randall this Friday. Over there to Ganado, they faced district home opener, started against Schulenburg Shorthorns. They won 12-2. They're going to be back at home versus Weimar this Friday. Shiner Baseball had the chance to play the Louise Hornets just like the softball team last night, and a similar result there for Shiner. They won 28-0 there. Again, Shiner Lady Comanche softball won 30-0, so their next game there will be Friday as well. And finally, they're the Cuero Gobblers. They travel to face the Calhoun Sandcrabs, and they would get this win 10-0 there for Calhoun there over Cuero. Their next opponent there is going to be on Thursday there for Calhoun, and Cuero will be back in action there on Friday. Now over there to girls powerlifting, where the Industrial Cobras had 8 girls competing in there in the state meet, which will be held there this Thursday in Frisco, Texas. First with Desiree Alanis, Mackenzie Alanis, Miley Alanis, and Desiree Evans, Lanaya Evans, Autumn Kalis, and Katie Kurtz and Kylie Panchik round out there for Industrial. Also wanted to shout out there to Palacios. They also got at least 9 people as well there for girls powerlifting that are going to go to state. They're going to be leaving. Both Industrial and Palacios will be leaving there tomorrow. And props up there for Bloomington in Michael Sample. He actually qualified from the regional powerlifting lift there a couple days ago. He will be going to state there for Bloomington there next week. That's going to do it here in sports. Don and Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. If you know what a box demon is, stand by for a new story. If you don't know, find out after the break.
Watch tonight. It's gluten-free.
Happy birthday, Joel's mom. Where is she? Hi, Mom.
Hi!
A rare clouded leopard cub has been born at the Nashville Zoo in Tennessee. The tiny female, born on February 25th, is about the size of a small baguette, so we're talking tiny. She weighs about 8.5 ounces and is 13 inches long. Native to Southeast Asia, clouded leopards are endangered due to habitat loss, poaching, and the pet trade. With only about 10,000 left in the wild, these elusive cats are one of the rarest species on the planet and absolutely adorable as well.
Absolutely. Actor and comedian Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias made a big impression in Hollywood. Today he wrote his name, then made handprints in cement outside the TCL Chinese Theater. He joins numerous other celebrities honored with hand and footprints in the sidewalk there. Fluffy's website says he's one of the highest grossing touring comedians in history.
That's great.
How about that?
He's hilarious.
All right.
I wonder if he left a joke written in cement.
So
No,
he's got
Fluffy, there
his
he
hands
is.
and feet at the Chinese Theater. That's terrific.
That is amazing.
It's
We mentioned earlier that Goliad County is now under a burn ban. We had 2 counties in the crossroads under burn bans. How many more do you think we'll see if looking ahead in the weather?
Well, we're split right now. Some are and some aren't. I wish that everybody would, because we had 2 wildfires in Calhoun County and they're not in a burn ban. So anything can set it off. You just need the right conditions, the dry brush and the very low humidities to trigger something off. So let's all be cautious. Even though we may not have a burn ban on, we should be very careful with anything that looks like a flame, because you know, how are you going to fight that if the wind is at 20, 30 miles an hour? That's going to be difficult. We're looking for sunny skies and warmer temperatures in the mid-80s tomorrow, and then about 90 degrees Thursday and Friday. That little front has a 2.5% chance of actually doing anything, and it would be in the overnight time period, so you're probably going to be asleep unless you're looking at the eclipse. Otherwise, we're looking for sunny weather and dry weather all the way through next week.
All right. Well, a prank or a veiled threat, either way, it's creepy. Take a look. A Pennsylvania homeowner says they were visited by someone proclaiming to be the box demon. Police say the masked demon leaned into the doorbell camera and said they were leaving a gift. A box was left at the homeowner's front door, but nothing was inside. Authorities say the homeowner does not recognize the person or know what the term box demon may represent, but police are investigating. A little scary. Thanks for joining us.
Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.